are here. The playoffs are here. Such great games ahead of us. What's up, football fans? We're gearing up for the divisional round of the playoffs and some awesome matchups on the schedule this weekend. I'm Lisa Kerney. This is FanDuel TV's More Ways to Win, coming in hot from our LA studio with the sports betting expert in-house, my friend Dave Weaver. You ready to do this?
We finally get to see the one seeds.
I know. Here we go. Also joining us, as always, former NFL receiver and Super Bowl champion James Jones, Sports Talk radio host Andrew Fillipponi, and the face of Marquee Sports Network, our NFL expert, Wright. Starting five, check, done. Everybody's in-house. Guys, we're breaking down every game. We're looking at a few prop bets as well, and even some fun futures bets like the Super Bowl MVP. Lots to get to, so let's do this. More Ways to Win starts now. And let's start at the beginning with the first playoff game on the schedule for us. Jacksonville travels to Kansas City for the early game on Saturday. Kansas City, you guys know this, ended the season strong, winning 10 of 11, earned the first round bye, so their number one ranked offense should be well rested. Meanwhile, the Jags coming off that huge, unbelievable 27-point comeback against the Chargers. Trevor Lawrence started the game with 4 picks, then threw 4 touchdowns. We'll see how he responds this week at Arrowhead. These two teams faced off in Week 10. The Chiefs won that one 27-17. Guys, the Chiefs, an 8.5-point favorite as they kick off divisional weekend for us. So, guys, let's get your picks on this one. Pony, you are going to get us started.
Yeah, really an all-time lucky performance. Not only was it a rally from Lawrence in the second half after 3 first-quarter interceptions, Lisa, but they needed a perfect storm of Chargers, gaffes, and blunders to even get themselves in this game. So maybe if you're optimistic, you say, oh, well, now they're playing with house money. That frees them up. No such thing when you go into Arrowhead in the playoffs, where it's a tough place to win. Trevor Lawrence is talking about the sound not being a big deal. That's not a good start bulletin board material-wise. This is the 28th pass defense in Jacksonville against the number 1 passing offense in the league, Dave. A Super Bowl champion coach, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, an MVP winning quarterback. No way. This is going to be a blowout. Going to win by double digits, the Kansas City Chiefs.
I think you could call it lucky if you come from behind trailing by a lot of points once, but they've done this the entire second half of the season. They were down 17 against Dallas, down 13 against the Raiders, down 9 against Baltimore, down 10 against Tennessee in week number 18 to be able to secure that division. And the one thing about the 1 seeds, I think the lines are typically inflated, and the proof is right here. The 1 seeds as a favorite in the divisional round are only 12-25-1 against the spread. That's 32%. So the underdogs are covering almost 68% of the time. And the Chiefs at home, they have not been very good with these big numbers. 1-7-1 against the spread the last 9 games. The Jaguars are a totally different team than what we saw earlier in the year when they played the Chiefs. They were a team that started out quickly and would fade. They were blowing big leads, and now they can rally. Look, I admit they are going to be down. Kansas City is going to jump out to a pretty big lead, but Jacksonville will do what they do. They'll be down 14 late. They'll score that backdoor touchdown and cover and lose by 7. That's the way I see this happening. The late touchdown.
That's what I'm talking about. Go ahead and cover. Cover all you want. What I care is about the record. And the Chiefs are taking this one. Hey, how many U's do you have in that Duval, James? I know you're coming at me, my friend.
Don't do it, James. Don't do it.
I know it. I know it. Just bring it.
James.
I'm gonna save my Duval for at the end of my whole little speech that I give y'all right now. No, I mean, I hear what you're saying, Pony, and I hear you saying there's no such thing as house money. There is, Pony. Right? Nobody expected the Jacksonville Jaguars to be here at this point, beginning of the season, with a new head coach coming off of the season that they had last year. Nobody expected to see him. Nobody expected them to come back and win that game down big against the Chargers. They was like, hey, here it is. It's over for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They had other plans. And like Dave said, they're no stranger to fighting their way back in the ball games and believing they're going to win. It is extremely hard to get the first playoff win in the playoffs. I've been there. It is hard to get that first dub. You do not like playing against people that already done played the game and they coming in there off of that first win coming into your building. the Kansas City Chiefs, Lisa, cover your ears, are in big trouble because I am going with Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this ball game. Confidence is contagious. Trevor Lawrence has been playing extremely good football. You know what the Kansas City Chiefs like to do? They like to play man-to-man defense. You know what that means? Athletic quarterbacks take advantage of that, using their legs, making plays outside the pocket, and that's what Trevor Lawrence does. The Kansas City Chiefs are in big trouble, and I truly believe that Duval is going to come out of Kansas City, and it's going to be rocking with a W.
A win, not a cover, a win.
Right? I told you this before, James. A Waffle House in Kansas City doesn't take reservations
I'm speechless.
from anybody named Lawrence. All right, well, let's, in addition to the spread, you guys know this, you can also get in on some fun prop bets. So we're going to bring in Cole for that one. Let's get you in the mix here. Get some rapid-fire prop bet picks. We're going to start with over-under 315.5 passing yards for Patrick Mahomes. What do you think?
Well, Mr. Mahomes, he has 10 games with more than 315 passing yards so far this year. And you may want to take note of this. He's 3-0 in his career versus Jacksonville. And he averages 340-plus passing yards in his career versus those Jags. And, well, when it comes to rattling off some gaudy numbers, he did it 315-plus weeks 6 through 11. So when it comes to Mr. Mahomes, old Patrick having a huge game, you can bank on this one because he has 8 postseason wins. That's as many as the Jags as a franchise. The Fighting MJD. So, yeah, I'd go with Patrick Mahomes in the over.
I like that. All right, how about this one? He's got to throw the ball to somebody. Over or under 81.5 receiving yards for Travis Kelce.
Well, if he's going to get the rock to anybody, that is his go-to guy. And over the last 9 games, a 5 with fewer than 65.5. So when it comes to Travis Kelce, he's going to light things up. He went for 82-plus 8 or more times this year, and he hasn't had a touchdown since week 11. So you know he's hungry. His last postseason games, he's gone above that mark. So you can pencil in Travis Kelce to go above that. I'm going with the over. You can book it, just like last week when I hit on all 3 of my props.
All right, how are we playing this one? Let's talk about these Jags. Does Travis Etienne go over or under 65.5 rushing yards?
Well, his last few games, he's had 5 with fewer than the number that we're looking at right there. And in those games, just 30.2 yards per game. Last time out versus Kansas City, 45 yards. That's not going to get it done for Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson. So when it comes to Travis Etienne, those rushing numbers, I'm going to say he's going to stay below 65.5. And Kansas City, they're going to win. I'm throwing that one in just for fun, 34-24. Take it to the bank.
I love that flex. Yes, Cole. All right, moving on to the late game on Saturday. The Giants travel to Philadelphia, take on their NFC East rival. Gotta give props to Daniel Jones. We're going to talk a lot more about this kid. Led the Giants in rushing yards the past 2 games, averaging 85 yards per game on the ground, and that's really helped this Giants offense score 69 points combined in those games. Then you look at Philly coming off that bye, and that second-ranked total defense will be ready. The Eagles also have the third-ranked total offense, so obviously a very balanced attack we're getting with this Philadelphia team. This will be the 3rd meeting this year, with Philly winning both of the previous matchups. The Eagles sitting here giving 7.5 pony. Which side do you like in this one?
Lisa, I think you actually, in a compliment, in a way of building up Daniel Jones, you actually unintentionally made an argument against the Giants in this game. I like the Eagles -7 and -7.5. Jones is the leading rusher. Great. He's a dual threat. He's a better athlete than we thought. We've seen it on display all year. But in saying that, you're admitting, or you're putting out there to everybody, that Saquon Barkley did not have a huge impact on the Minnesota game. Where is he? You know, he was really good in the first half, non-existent in the second half. When these 2 teams played earlier in the season and Barkley dressed, he had 28 rushing yards. It can't be all Daniel Jones in Philly. It's going to be a madhouse there against the #1 seed. He needs help, and I'm just not convinced he's going to get it, Cole. The Eagles defense, look at all the sacks. They've got 1 million guys with 5 sacks or more. Yeah. So different than the Minnesota defense. No, I'm taking Philadelphia to beat the Giants and cover for a 3rd time this year.
Well, Pony, a lot of folks would like to think that there's that familiarity level between Brian Daboll and Jalen Hurts, and there is, because 2017, Daboll, of course, the OC and quarterback coach for Alabama, and Jalen Hurts was his quarterback for every single quarter for the most part, except for those last 2 quarters of the national championship game. And he also had 17 touchdowns and just 1 pick that year. So Dayball, he knows just how effective Jalen Hurts can be. He's still that player, and he's added a little extra to his bag of tricks. 8 games with multiple passing touchdowns, and he has 7 rushing touchdowns over his last 7 games. His star, it continues to shine. That's because that offensive line, absolute filth. Lane Johnson, this guy, one of the best in the game. He didn't allow a sack or a hit all season long, and that was the #1 unit. So they can hang their hat on that. And the defensive line, also solid. A top 10 unit, Danny Dimes, he should be having fits all game long. The Eagles, they're one of the best for a good reason. 27-17. I'm going with the Eagles in this one.
But I tell you what, it's a division game. These 2 teams know each other very well. James, I know that means a lot to you as you look at this matchup. What do you think about these Giants? Are they keeping it close?
Yeah, you could call me crazy. You could call me all that. But I truly believe that both of the #1 seeds are going down this weekend. The Kansas City Chiefs going down and the Philadelphia Eagles going down, right? Getting off the bus, this Philadelphia Eagles defense knows we have to stop Saquon Barkley. So you know what? A heavy dose of Daniel Jones' legs and moving him outside the pocket might not be bad, because you have to stop 26 if you're going to have a chance of stopping this New York Giants offense. But not only that, do you just have to stop him in the run game, you have to stop him in the pass game. He picked up some key first downs in the pass games in that Minnesota Vikings game. The Giants know exactly who they are on the offensive side of the ball. Daniel Jones is not turning the ball over. He's not taking chances. He's making plays with his legs, and he's getting the ball to 26. And big props to Isaiah Hodgins, coming over there, being cut from the Buffalo Bills, and is emerging as the #1 wide receiver for the Giants and making big-time plays. The Philadelphia Eagles, even before Jalen Hurts got hurt, people don't want to turn on the tape and look at the tape with their own 2 eyes, but they were not playing good football in any phase. And then we've seen when Gardner Minshew came in the game, we've seen what that looked like. They are coming into the playoffs, and it's hard for me to believe that they have a lot of confidence going into the playoffs the way they played the last stretch of the season. I see the New York Football Giants going into Philadelphia for the 3rd matchup this season and coming out of there with a W. Both #1 seeds, Lisa, go down.
They are playing loose. They have no pressure. No one expects them to go into Philly and take this game. All right, let's get to some rapid-fire prop bets for this one. And, Dave, I'm going to start with you. Over or under 239.5 passing yards for Jalen Hurts.
Well, he's healthy, so he's had plenty of rest now to come into this game. And Dr. Chow's website, SixScore.com, that measures the health of teams, has the passing offense of Philadelphia ranked 6 points higher than the defense of the secondary for the Giants. That means that they're a little bit banged up on that side, and he will have a big enough game to get over that 239.5. I actually think he'll get somewhere around 260 yards, so I'm definitely taking over on that.
All right, let's move on to one of the guys catching those passes from Hurts. A.J. Brown, are we going over or under 72.5 receiving yards?
Kind of got to play these hand in hand, just like Mahomes and Kelsey. If you're taking over on one, you probably should use both. I'm going to do the same thing. I think A.J. Brown will have a very big game in here. He's been waiting for this moment for a long, long time to get a chance to take this team all the way to the Super Bowl. And it starts with the win over the Giants, but to do that, he needs to get 100 yards. I think he'll go way over that number of 70 or so.
All right, so Pony was kind of smashing me for giving Daniel Jones all the love in the rushing game for these Giants. Let's talk about Saquon Barkley. Does he go over or under 69.5 rushing yards?
Yeah, I wouldn't go so far as what Pony was saying that he was non-existent. I mean, he did score 2 touchdowns in that game, but he had more receiving yards, 56, than he had rushing yards, 53. And in the second half, they just weren't giving him the ball. And that's when they were leading against the Vikings. Now I think they're going to be trailing against the Eagles. Even more reason that he's probably not going to see that many carries in the second half. I'm going to say he goes under.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I said 69.5. That prop sitting there right now at 68.5. All right, great stuff
Still
by
under.
you. Great stuff by our guys. Still an under. And coming up, we're going to get you a lot more information on these games. We're taking a deep dive into these Sunday matchups. These guys give their expert analysis, tell you which side to bet. and why. Plus, our guys handing out some same-game parlays on the show today. And first up, this guy right here, who'll give out his big payday parlay. That's next. Oh, these odds are about to explode. Stay with us. Rolling on here on More Ways to Win, and we're bringing in our special guest to give his expert analysis on this weekend's games. Chad Millman is the Chief Content Officer of the Action Network. He's done all the research, so you don't have to. Hi, Chad. Good morning and welcome. Good to see you. I want to get your best bets for this weekend's divisional round game. So give me a team that you are so high on for this weekend.
All right, so we've got Cincinnati going into Buffalo, and this is a marquee matchup for the weekend, and we've already seen tremendous line movement on this game. It opened at 6.5, got immediately bet down to 3.5. The Bills is 3.5-point favorites, and we've slowly seen it climbing back up. It went to 4, it went to 4.5, it went to 5. This morning on FanDuel, it just ticked up to 5.5, and I think that's a lot of wise guy money, professional money that's been coming in on the Bills as it gets lower when it got lower than 6. I think you got a Cincinnati offensive line that is down three starters. They're going against a Buffalo Bills deep defensive line that is top 10 in pressure rate. And then you look at the two games that both of these teams just had in the opening round. They both played backup quarterbacks, and they both played badly against backup quarterbacks. But if you look at the Bills, they had all the bad breaks, weird turnovers, great opportunities taken advantage of by the Dolphins, and they still won, and they probably should have won going away by a much bigger margin. You look at the Bengals, they had 234 yards of offense. They needed a 98-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown to win that game. When you get into that zone of the line between 4 and 6, it's kind of a dead number. So I think that's why it's been moving up. So if you can, get it at the 5.5.
Yeah, that's interesting line movement there. Thanks for the insight and great info as always. Let's hear your second favorite bet here on Divisional Weekend.
All right, this one's a little bit scary to pull the trigger on, but we've specialized at pulling the trigger on scary bets. I'm going with the Chiefs and the Jags under 53 right now. And this is another one. The line has been creeping up. It was at 51, 51.5, 52, 52.5, now landing at 53. Chiefs lines are always inflated when they're at Arrowhead because of Patrick Mahomes, because of Andy Reid, because of the explosiveness of this offense. And then you add in a layer of inflation because of what the Jags did this past weekend against the Chargers. But look, Andy Reid at home, unders in his career at Kansas City, the unders are at 59%. If the Chiefs are favored by more than 7, unders hit at 61%. So I'm sorry, 70%. So I like the play here because you got the Chiefs as 8.5-point favorites. So it's a nice little Venn diagram of opportunity.
And as you see, that line already moved to 52.5. All right, Chad, here's a quick recap.
As we're talking, we're moving lines, Lisa.
Literally, you are making things happen. Our graphics auto-populate, so I'm looking at that, and sure enough. But let's recap your picks. Bills giving points to the Bengals, and you like the under in this Jags-Chiefs game in Kansas City at Arrowhead. The barbecue's going to be smelling so good. We've got some great games ahead of us. Awesome stuff, Chad. You can bet those games right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. And, of course, you can get more of Chad's insight by listening to The Favorites podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Also, make sure to download the Action Network app for expert picks, live scores, and stats, and, of course, more of Chad. And now it is the time you've all been waiting for every single week. It's time to turn a very little bit into a lot. Look at Dave standing there. Yes, Dave. Yeah. Big payday parlay. This is where you bet just a few dollars to win thousands. Dave is about to make magic. He's going to give us that same game parlay, focusing on the first game this weekend, which is Saturday, the Jags and Chiefs. Let's see what you got. We're going to roll in a little BETMOJI treatment in just a moment, but let's see what you do on the board here. Yeah,
I'm going to have 8 different things have to happen in this game. And anytime that I'm playing a same game parlay, I want to kind of design it around how I think the game is going to flow and how I think it's going to develop. In that case, I think the Chiefs are going to open up a big lead, and then Jacksonville is going to kind of get some cheap yards late. So here's what I'm doing. Let's just start out with a couple of touchdown scores. Anytime you get the ball down along the goal line, the running back backs are the ones that probably going to score. So I'm going to use both running backs, Isaiah Pacheco and Travis Etienne, both to get into the end zone. Those are pretty chalky, actually, plus 100 and minus 110. But we're going to use some trickier things, including Christian Kirk to score. The last time that the Jags played the Chiefs, he had a very big game. So I think he's going to be a key for me in this parlay. Actually, later on, I'm going to use him in another manner. We'll get to that in a little bit. Now let's talk about yards. You can use players to score touchdowns, players to go over under yards. You can use the spreads. I'm not using the spreads. I'm using all players, but I'm going to use Patrick Mahomes to go over 350 yards. That's an alternate spread. You can do 300, 275, but I'm going to buy him all the way up to 350 because I think he is going to have a very big first half. Now, what does that mean for Trevor Lawrence and the Jags? They're going to have an opportunity to get some of those garbage yards late in the prevent defense, get some 20, 30-yard gains, and that's why I think Lawrence, who might not have that big of a first half, is going to have a very big second half and get to 300 yards passing. Now we're up to $1,300 for our $20 bet. But watch this explode with the last three things that we need to happen. Let's talk about some receivers. When Lawrence is getting all those junk yards, who's going to be getting those yards? Christian Kirk, I think he'll have a 100-yard game like he did against the Chiefs in Week 10. And Zay Jones is the big threat. Maybe not 100, but how about 70 on the alt yards receiving for Zay Jones? There's one more key, though, to my parlay, and that is Patrick Mahomes to get a rushing touchdown. Remember, passing touchdowns don't count, but running touchdowns and receiving touchdowns do. Mahomes in the regular season, 80 games, 12 career touchdowns. In the postseason, 11 games, 5 touchdowns. So he's scoring in almost half of his games. 3 of those came in the divisional round. So I think he's going to step it up, maybe a naked bootleg to get in the end zone. Look at that, almost $11,000 now for the $20 bet. But we need those 8 things to happen. But I think Mahomes is the key, the one that a lot of people might not have the courage to use.
I told you, Dave, that would take me through like at least a few weeks of my Starbucks, Venti's, little extra shots here and there. All right, going big with the same game parlay. We've got to give it the BETMOJI treatment.
Oh, I'm getting critiqued.
You're welcome, America. Yes, I want to get your reaction to Dave's picks. And look,
Pony,
yes,
my
we're
man.
all over the place. Pony, yes, what leg hits here? Which one are you most high on here?
I see 20 to win 11 grand. And
exactly.
I'm tempted. I can't help myself. I love bet a little to win a lot. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book and one of my favorites. So Dave is right about 99.9% of the time. And I think this is another example of that.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Wright. That's me.
Yeah, and Pony, that's a great tease.
No, that's me. That's me, Dave. That's me.
Take that
Travis
W off.
Etienne not scoring. You didn't watch my props? Take note.
Take note. Well,
you get a 1-yard touchdown and still go under on the yards. Come on.
Pony's all about these same-game parlays, and we're going to hear from Pony on his in just a few moments. Great stuff, guys. And, of course, when you parlay, your odds explode. You saw it there. Go ahead and tail Dave or create your own parlay to win big on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. You know how I feel about you guys. You have to do you. I respect that. Right now, all customers can place the same-game parlay or same-game parlay plus of 3 legs or more on the NFL playoffs and get bonus bets back if you don't win. There are so many ways to bet on the NFL playoffs, including exclusive player props, same-game parlays, live alternate spreads, and so much more. So download the app today to start betting the NFL playoffs with us. And, of course, you can also get in on the fun with Daily Fantasy, one-stop shop right there on your phone. FanDuel has a bunch of DFS contests live right now where you can win thousands of dollars on FanDuel.com and right there in your hand on the phone on the app. How do you give yourself an edge, though? You got to find the value at each position. Jim Sonis has been bringing us the players you need in your lineup each and every week this season. So, Jim, who are your best value plays here for the Saturday games of the divisional weekend?
Thanks, Lisa. On the Saturday-only slate, we do get both the Chiefs and the Eagles back in play here off of their byes, but I also like some guys on the opposing teams. That begins with Darius Slayton coming in at $5,700. Slayton is facing off with the Eagles, and he's been getting a lot of volume, a crucial drop in that Vikings game, but in the game since Isaiah Hodgins' role increased, Darius Slayton still is at 5.9 targets per game with 1.9 deep targets per game in that time. The Giants will need to throw to keep up in this game, so Darius Slayton, despite that drop, still a fun fun play at $5,700. Going to the Chiefs right now, I like Kadarius Toney a lot, coming in at $5,800. He's had limited snaps in this time with the Chiefs, but you have to wonder how much of that was trying to keep Toney healthy for this postseason run. Toney was getting used when he was out there during the regular season. In his final Week 18 game, we saw Toney get 3 carries and 2 targets on just 18 snaps. I think we'll see him get ramped up here with the playoffs now on the line. So Kadarius Toney, a guy I'd expect to see a usage bump here in the divisional round. On the opposing side of that game, I love Travis Etienne. Once again, his salary here, $6,800. And Etienne doesn't get a lot of work in the passing game, but I'd still expect him to potentially pay off even without that. In the wild card round, Etienne had a 90% snap rate. He had 20 carries in that game, 121 total yards. So sure, the Jags are big underdogs here, deservedly so, but I think Etienne can do enough, despite the big spread, to still pay off a very low salary. So Lisa, some fun plays across the board here, even as we get 2 juggernauts back on the slate.
Yep, here we go. Rock and roll. Thank you, Jim. Set your lineups at FanDuel.com. And also follow Jim on Twitter. He's a great follow at Jim Sonis. Check out his Covering the Spread podcast wherever you get your podcasts. All right, up next, we are tackling the Bengals and the Bills. Both teams coming off nerve-wracking performances last week. So which one bounces back? I'm going to ask our guys about that and also their best bets of the week. This is FanDuel TV. We love having you with us, and we're coming right back. Welcome back to FanDuel TV. Thanks for hanging with us here on Divisional Round Weekend. You got all the info you need for your Saturday bets. Now let's turn the page here and focus on the first Sunday game on the schedule. It's a big one. We've got the Bengals at the Bills. Joe Burrow was held to just 209 passing yards against the Ravens last week. Cincinnati needed that defensive touchdown to seal the game. The Bills, same story, really struggled last week. They are 14-point favorites against the Dolphins, won by just 3, with the defense giving up 31 points. It's the most they've allowed in the last 8 games, guys. Let's bring you in here and get your take on this one. Bills are 5.5-point favorites now. Dave, start us off. You're just shaking your head. Which side do you like?
I mean, how in the world are the Bengals getting 5.5 points? They're a fantastic team all year long. They closed the season 13-1 against the spread. Joe Burrow against winning teams thrives. He's 16-6 against the spread in his career. And what's Josh Allen? 18-17-1, kind of a ho-hum, 1 game above 500. Buffalo has not impressed me since he has. This line seems way out of whack. And what did Cincy do last year to go to the Super Bowl? They had to beat the 1 seed on the road. They had to beat the 2 seed on the road. They're not scared going into Buffalo as an underdog. This line is off to me. I think it should be probably 3. I like the Bengals.
Yeah, number one, it's crazy that they 5.5. Oh, with JoJo Burrow. That is disrespectful to JoJo Burrow. JoJo Burrow is a winner. JoJo Burrow don't care where he plays, who he plays, how he plays. He just wins in big-time games. So I'm never going against JoJo Burrow. So the Buffalo Bills are in trouble. And when you turn the tape on as a Cincinnati Bengals offensive player, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, JoJo Mixon, JoJo Burrow, they are going to look and say, you gave up 30-plus points to a 4-string quarterback, and we got one of the baddest men in the land throwing to one of the baddest receiver groups in the land with arguably one of the baddest running backs in the land. That speaks trouble for me. The Buffalo Bills are about to go down. Cincinnati Bengals, JoJo Burrow, moving on.
James, I'm with you on this one, and this is like Rocky IV and Buffalo. They're Ivan Drago, and the Cincinnati Bengals, they're Rocky, because if you want to bet against them right now, go ahead. But when it comes to the postseason, 5 playoff games for Joe Cool. He's 4-1 with 6 touchdowns and just a pair of interceptions, and that 1 postseason loss, of course, in the biggest game when it comes to big games, a Super Bowl, and that was just a 3-point defeat courtesy of those Rams. And when you take a look at the Cincinnati defense, they're going to be a force, and they're going to need to be, because Josh Allen, like we said, Drago-esque, 12 passing touchdowns over his last 4 games, and in the divisional round, 5 passing touchdowns and 0 picks. Cincinnati, I think they're going to be up to the task, because Josh Allen and company, and they want to cross paths again with Kansas City. A little payback from last year, but yeah, the Bengals are going to clog all those plans up. 31-27, Cincinnati. You're going to hear it all on WKRP. Book it.
In Cincinnati. I tell you what Josh Allen put on the field and showed us last week humanized him in a very scary way for Bills fans. So we will see what he gets out there this weekend. All right, Pony, I want to bring you in here for one of the most popular bets at the FanDuel Sportsbook. First touchdown score. Check out the odds here on your screen for this bet. Give me your first touchdown score for this game and tell me why.
Yeah, there's just so much value on the guy that's on the bottom left part of that screen, and that's Dawson Knox, who has been a guy that Josh Allen, we've been playing the highlight all day on the show of that one-handed catch in the end zone against Miami. 5 straight games with a touchdown. So that's a red zone target for Allen. We've seen in the playoffs last year, he went to Knox in the New England game. He counts on this guy. It's a security blanket player. When in doubt, throw it to Knox when down near the goal line. I love him at 13-1.
Tell you what, they waited to use him for those best weeks later in the season. He was on my fantasy roster the entire season, and it wasn't until I got too little, too late. He really has come on strong here at the end of the season. All right, guys, let's move on here and get to our best bets of the week. Our experts giving them out in the form of a spread, money line, and total bet. It is part of our weekly competition where each of the guys gets 100 virtual dollars for those 3 bets. We've been doing this for seasons now on this show. Pony, you went 2-1 for the second week in a row. Are you clapping for him? That's never happened.
He's my guy. I love Pony.
Hit on the Dolphins getting the points and the Giants money line bet, which was huge. And then the Jags-Chargers game went over, though. But, hey, you won about $43 in profit. So let's see if we can cash in again this week. What you got for us, Pony?
I'm going to start with your Chiefs, Lisa. Look, I just don't get – hey, Jacksonville's been a fun team, and Trevor Lawrence has a bright future. He did not play great against L.A. He had a great half of football. You turn the ball over multiple times in Kansas City, you're going to get your butt kicked. And I don't trust Jacksonville's defense. They had 0 sacks of Mahomes when they played earlier this year. So let's start $34 on Kansas City to cover. Next up, Dallas on the money line to go into San Francisco and win this game. I'm convinced. I've been made a believer. I'm a convert here. Dak Prescott, the 5 touchdown performance against Tampa Bay. I believe in him more than Brock Purdy, who was not sharp at the beginning of the Seattle game, missed all kinds of throws, but got away with them, like Dallas, to win that game. And lastly, I'm going to take the under in Giants-Eagles. I think the Eagles offense right now is being slept on. They're being disrespected for the way they finished the year. I think, much like Dallas, bad regular season finale, huge game against Tampa. I think they do the same thing against the Giants, Dave. Over.
Well, I already knew you didn't like Brock Purdy because you had a tweet go viral when you said Kenny Pickett is 10 times better than Brock Purdy. It has like 7,000 likes and 300,000 views.
And you agreed with me, Dave. Thank you for that. I appreciated your support.
No, I guess I'm the only one in the world that thinks Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. I love the 49ers in this spot. The Dallas secondary is banged up. He is going to have a field day in this game with his core of receivers. I will lay the points. That's my best bet of the week. I think the Niners will roll the Cowboys. Money line, it seems like we all agree that the Bengals are in a pretty good spot here, getting the plus money against Buffalo. So $20 on Joe Burrow to take them to the conference championship. And then as far as the over, going against what Chad thought that this would be a low-scoring game, I see the opposite. I think it's going to be a lot of touchdowns for Kansas City early and a lot of scoring for Jacksonville late, which equates to this game going into the mid-50s or maybe even the 60s, $25 on the over.
All right, we'll see where those shake out. And, of course, we will keep everybody in the loop here on the next show next weekend, so join us then. But right now, we're going to get to the information you need here, because in addition to betting on the games, you can also win part of a $10,000 prize pool just by answering a few questions about the games this week. And it's free to enter. Thank you, GMC. It is the GMC Sierra Mountain Climber Pick'em Contest. And to enter, just log on to FanDuel.com/free/contest/GMC Mountain Climber and answer questions about the matchups in front of us. The more you get right, the higher you move up the mountain. Fans who get every answer right will reach the summit and win a share of the $10,000 prize, paid in site credit. Eyes on the prize, team. Make sure to enter the free GMC Sierra Mountain Climber Pick'em Contest before kickoff. It's going on right now. And as always, have fun and good luck. All right, coming up, we're hitting the late game on Sunday. We've got the Cowboys, we've got the Niners, and what a matchup this is going to be. Does Dak stay hot against these Niners, or does Brock Purdy come through again? Our guys make their winning pick coming up. Stay with us. We're coming right back. Welcome back to More Ways to Win here on FanDuel TV. And we're saving the best game for last. This one, a great matchup. The Cowboys on the road at these 49ers. Dak Prescott came up big last week in Tampa Bay. 4 passing touchdowns. That rushing touchdown that I have to say quieted his doubters at least for a week. And what more can you say about the Niners quarterback, Brock Purdy? We're actually going to say a lot more here in just a second. He's 7-0 as a rookie starter, including a playoff win, and the offense has scored at least 33 points in 6 of those games. Guys, this is a very interesting matchup. It's also the tightest spread of the week. The Cowboys getting 3.5 points on the road. Curious for all of your picks, and Pony, you're going to start us off. What do you think?
Well, starting with the defensive challenge for Purdy, Lisa, this will be the team that maybe strikes the most fear in him, creates the most nerves and jitters. They led the league in turnovers and takeaways, so that's going to present an issue. The other thing is 49ers defense statistically has been outstanding, but they're not unbeatable. The Chiefs went there and scored 44. You remember that. James was in Vegas when Jarrett Stidham lit that defense up for 3 touchdowns. Remember that, James? Jarrett Stidham almost beat that.
I do remember.
So I think Dak coming off 5 touchdowns, yeah, they're going to cover that 3.5 for sure. I love Dallas in this game.
Ooh, you know what, Pony? You got me juiced up because I'm with you. You talking about Dak Prescott coming off probably his best game as a Dallas Cowboy, and it happened to be in the playoffs against TB12 to go out there and beat up on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But this will be Brock Purdy's toughest challenge yet this season. You got Micah Parsons and this defense to create takeaways. One of the best defenses in the National Football League at creating takeaways. I feel like he has gotten away with some that should have been takeaways, and the Dallas Cowboys have showed all season long that they capitalized on it. I think the Niners are in trouble in this one. I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to come into San Francisco, and I am going to say that Dak Prescott outplays Brock Purdy as he should, and he wills this Dallas Cowboys team to victory and sends the San Francisco 49ers home.
Yeah, they'll be saying 1, 2, 3 Cancun when the game is all said and done with. And I want to apologize to Cowboys fans out there because I didn't necessarily go against the Cowboys. I just wanted to put my faith in a 7-time Super Bowl champion. But now that we have all that,
went against them.
Now that we have all that out of the way, James, when it comes to Dak, we know he had a pair of passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown, the first Cowboy quarterback to ever do that, and it also snapped an 8-game road playoff skid. So you know that the Cowboys are ready to get back in that win column once again and do it especially versus San Francisco, because the last time they beat San Francisco on the road in the postseason, 1992 season, the year was 1993, and the Cowboys, they also went on to win the Super Bowl that year. And when it comes to Brock Purdy, Lisa, like you said, 7-0 with that playoff W, but I think midnight's going to strike and my man's going to turn to a pumpkin before we know it. And then the Cowboys, they're going to keep on rolling and keep on advancing. 24-21, San Francisco, they're 3-5 versus Dallas in the postseason. So do with that nugget what you want to.
I got to go back to James' pick real quick because he's all about the plus money this weekend. I think you're picking every single game as an upset. Yep. Our producer, Michelle Mapart, pointed that out, and I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. Let's get that plus money, James. I'm all
Lisa,
about it.
Lisa, imagine that underdog parlay. Put all 4 together. That's a huge payout.
Hey,
it's huge.
Y'all ride with me. Y'all ride with me. I know what I'm talking about. I tried to tell Dave and Cole last week that I didn't care if the game was played on concrete. Dallas Cowboys was going to beat the Buccaneers down. Listen to your boy.
Facts. We could roll it back. Dave, we got to get you in here. We're looking at the first touchdown score for this game. We got the 3 favorites. They are all 49ers. So going with one of them? Do you like one of the Cowboys getting in the end zone first? How are you playing this one?
First of all, James is the guy that said Lamar was playing, so I'm not listening to him anymore. So forget about that fake phone call that you were making last week. I'm going with the guy that nobody has their eyes on. McCaffrey's going to be looked at. Kittle's going to be looked at. Debo's going to be looked at. Who are they going to go to early? Brandon Ayuk at plus 1,200. We'll get that first touchdown.
All right, just writing down these odds here because Vishal just told me if you pick in parlay all the upsets this weekend, your odds skyrocket to plus 15,000. You can place that right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. All right, Dave gave us his same game parlay a bit earlier. Pony called him out for some of his picks. So, Pony, you think it's so easy?
No.
Oh, we're putting you on the hot seat now for your own same game parlay for the Giants and Eagles game. Take it away.
Yeah, I don't like as many moving parts as Dave. I like to keep it simple for our audience. Let's not overcomplicate things. I believe Jalen Hurts is going to have a huge game against the defense in the NFL that was the worst against quarterbacks rushing the ball. And that was the Giants giving up 5 yards of play. So here's how we're going to put this same game parlay together. Let's start with the Hurts anytime touchdown score. He's going to find the end zone. He was their leading rusher in Philadelphia in touchdowns this year. I'm going to start there. Then I'm going to have him go over his rushing yard prop. He's going to be playing both ways, not going to be conservative. There's no tomorrow if you lose. He's going to turn into an explosive runner in this game. Next up, Hurts passing prop. He's got A.J. Brown. He's got Smith. He's got Goddard. He's going to expose the Giants defense that, Dexter Lawrence is tremendous up front, but not as good on the back end. And then lastly, I think the Eagles are going to win and cover and remind the Giants, hey, nice season. Get better luck next year. It's not your time yet. You put it all together, $20 plus 773. Love that payout. We're calling this the Hurts So Good parlay, Lisa. There you go.
I do feel like we should name all of our parlays.
No.
Dave?
Pony, I wouldn't even get out of bed for $174. $174. Why don't you do this? You could take Hurts 100 rushing yards or 75 and 300 passing yards. If you really think it's going to have a big game, you could still probably buy it up and make that pay a comma. But I like the 4 things. I just don't like only playing for $100. Come on.
All right. So, okay.
James thinks Daniel Jones is better than the MVP now, or the NFC MVP. He likes Daniel Jones.
I just told you that the Philadelphia Eagles is going to lose. So you know what this tells me? That they shouldn't even put that segment on there because this ain't going to hit, man. I just told you.
You know what this tells
James,
me?
don't you have
Pony
Lamar
doesn't listen to
Jackson on
anything.
line 1?
Yeah, let me hit him right here, huh?
Lamar might be.
All right, well,
out of
James
control.
makes his phone calls. You all can go ahead and tail Pony. Or, hey, create your own parlay to win big on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. You can do it right now. And also right now, all customers can place a same-game parlay or same-game parlay plus of 3 legs or more on the NFL playoffs and get bonus bets back if you don't win. There's so many ways to bet on the NFL playoffs, including exclusive player props, live same-game parlays, alternate spreads, and so much more. So download the app today to start betting the NFL playoffs with us. And coming up, yes, you can bet on the Super Bowl outright winner. We know that. We've talked about it all season. And you can also bet on the Super Bowl MVP. There are some great odds on the board right now. Also okay if you go chalk, by the way. Our guys give out their picks next. Y'all have been rolling with us. We've previewed every single game on the schedule this weekend, focusing on the spread. Now I want to switch it up, drop some moneyline upset picks, my favorite moneyline moneymakers. This segment has taken on a life of its own. Get your BETMOJIS ready, guys. So we usually have Cole and James give us a moneyline upset pick. The rest of the guys react with the appropriate emoji. Dave is very ready.
Yep.
James, you picked every game as an upset. By the way, those odds plus 15,000 if you parlay all 4 games to be upset. So Cole, we're just going to get your picks for this week. What you got?
Well, James is going to take us to Sizzler if all those bets do indeed hit. But either way, when it comes to this week's dog, I'm going with Cincinnati. I told you a little bit earlier in the program how dangerous they can be right now. And since Thursday was National Popcorn Day, I think Joe Burrow and company, they're going to celebrate on a Sunday as they get things popping versus Buffalo. We told you that defense, they're going to need to contain Josh Allen because he has 12 passing touchdowns over his last 4 games and 5 passing touchdowns in the divisional round and 0 interceptions. But nevertheless, Cincinnati, they're going to pull themselves up. They're going to stay strong. They're going to get this win 31-27. Another 1-score victory for Joe Burrow in the postseason.
Yes. Shout out to my man, Oval Redenbacher. Let's go, Team Popcorn.
Pony.
Cole, are you serious? You taking JoJo Burrow?
He finally got on our side.
There it is.
James
There it
James
is.
trying to go with the Jedi mind trick there. I see you.
All right.
I'm with you, brother. I am
Awesome
with
stuff. All right, if you guys agree with Cole, or hey, if you think it's going to be a sweep for these dogs, or you got an upset pick of your own, got it ready to roll, you got to do you. Hop on the FanDuel Sportsbook app now, get that plus money before kickoffs this weekend. Remember, these games are kicking off on Saturday. All right, just a couple of minutes left in the show. So let's fast forward now to the end of the Super Bowl, the end. Of course, you can bet on the Super Bowl winner, but you can also bet on the Super Bowl MVP. Here are some of the great odds right now on the board, especially if you think a non-quarterback is going to win this award. And don't forget, that has happened in 2 of the past 4 years. Guys, let's go around the horn and get your picks. And Dave, you're going to start us off.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically going to be a correlation to what your Super Bowl pick is. I like the Cincinnati Bengals, and if that's the case, it's going to be Joe Burrow plus 850.
I'm with you. I'm Joe Burrow all the way. Cincinnati Bengals to the Super Bowl. Dave, Joe Burrow.
All right, well then send this to your old coach, James. Dak Prescott, 12-1. I think among the teams that can win the Super Bowl, you're getting the best odds on the Cowboys right now and their quarterback to win the MVP.
Well, guys, as we all know, some money is better than no money. Patrick Mahomes plus 350. If you don't like cashing tickets, then don't go with Patrick Mahomes, because the Kansas City Chiefs, they will indeed win the Super Bowl as they defeat the Philadelphia Eagles. And Patrick getting after it again. MVP.
That's what we're talking about, y'all, on JoJo Burrow at plus 850. Yeah. JoJo Burrow plays for an AFC team. The AFC won't be represented by Cincinnati, so you got to factor that in, gentlemen. You know what I'm talking about? All right, that'll do it for us. The divisional round is here. 4 games, 8 teams left. We're going to see who's moving on. Enjoy the games. Good luck with your bets. We'll see you right back here next week. Thanks for hanging with us.